G'day, welcome back to the channel and thank you for joining me. So, here we are today. We're checking out the 1080p from HDZero. Unfortunately, you need a new lens to get the full benefit of the sensor in the version 2 camera to use the 1080p properly. But there are some other things we're going to check out first because I don't have that lens yet. It is ordered and it's on its way, but it ain't here yet. So, what we're going to be checking out today is the interference and the feel. There's been a lot of talk about well, I mean, if you've been watching Stacey's videos, the stop motion effect that he has been flying through with the beta firmware there. Now, 0404 2023 has come out and we all have access to that now, if we can get past the update process, which isn't too hard. And there is a video which you can find a link to in the card if you're having trouble with that and want it explained. But once you've got that update process done and you have a version 2 camera, you're open to use the 1080p. Now, we're going to get into that. This is my third intro to this video. My first attempt, the goggles were failing to record. So I did the flight, actually had a freaking rainbow up over there and was able to look at it in like the 720 and 1080p and all gone. So yeah. I will say that it is definitely a higher detail picture, of course. And when you're up at like altitude and you're just cruising, it looks awesome. My initial impressions of doing proximity flying with it, and apparently this is better than what Stacey was doing proxy with before in his videos in the beta. It's pretty rough. It doesn't feel comfortable. It's not, I mean, rough may not be the fair word, but it doesn't feel comfortable. Especially, I found, when I was descending. I found it very uncomfortable descending. Yeah, I mean, I usually will just, but even, I definitely think it needs some work. We're gonna go check it out. The other thing that I definitely found with it was the interference is different and you'll need to make sure you've got your best aerials on there. I tried it out with a Lumineer antenna in the videos you're going to see soon. Did pretty well, but actually it wasn't as good as what I recall, at least with the 720, as it was with the Pagoda I use generally on the larger quads. So there is that. I'm not going to bother redoing the flights with the Pagoda because I did them with the same aerial for the 720 and the 1080p, and that's what we're looking at, a comparison, not between the aerials, but the video formats. So yeah, we'll get into that. A little PSA. So, if you've updated this firmware to 0404 2023, and in my case, I was on version 8, so I had to do the one-time special update process, you want to, record as normal, and it may look like it's recording at normal. Double check. If you're not getting the recordings, do this. Empty the card, reformat it, and in my case, I put it back onto .ts after trying the MP4. That seemed to work for me. But until I actually reformatted that card in the goggles, wasn't able to get recording to record. It said it recorded. I've seen comments by Carl saying that they think it's highly related to turning off the goggles too soon. I disagree in my case. Not necessarily in everyone's cases, because I don't know everyone's cases, but in my case, I disagree. Basically, it didn't matter how long I left it, if I unplugged the quad first, any of that, none of that mattered. Only reformatting the card, that's the only thing that got it back to working. So maybe there's something else there that hopefully will be helpful to Carl and the HDZero team. Anyway, let's go check out those flights. I will be wearing different clothes too, and the focus will be bad, and there'll probably be some glare on the lens because I'm sorry. Yeah, but let's get into it because you're not wanting to look at me, you want to look at the video of the flight. Rock on. So while that's warming up, I'm going to be running in 25 milliwatts to make sure that we can see the interference. We'll be able to see what it looks like because we've got a nice clear line of sight up here to have a look around. But I've also got lots of trees and stuff to sort of mess up the waves. So hopefully we'll get a good picture of that. Compared to the stock 4x3 720p. Yeah, see how I'm going with the satellites. Oh wow, that was super quick, 8 already, nice. Okay, let's do this. So currently in 4x3. Hello puppy. For reference, I'm running one of those little luminaire antennas on this. So that's currently getting some interference. Maybe there's some data traffic going through the. Now, I would normally run a pagoda antenna. I can put up those types of antennas in the screen now for you. But I was running this on this for a while when I was doing some medium range and analog. And yeah, so anyway, that's that. All right, let's land and turn this into a 1080p camera. It's a bit rough. Yep, wrong way. 1080p 30. Standing on a weird lump. That's better. Okay, so here we are. Now, first things first, yes, you can see it's kind of like flying by stop motion. They've not really figured out that lag issue. And that leads us straight into the second thing as we come around that corner. The interference does definitely seem more visually, oh my god, okay, yeah, that's worse, definitely fucking worse. Totally almost lost visual there for coming around that little bit. You got the trees and the rock in the way. Now, I'm gonna hop up, have a little look around. Come back down, switch over to 720 again. Oh my god, that's wild. 720. So as you can see, it's back to normal with its latency, measurably smoother. Again, there's the interference difference. I'll just quickly pop around that corner where I lost visuals. And as you can see, it does seem to be able to regain that picture much quicker and the signal gets chopped up. Okay, well, with that. Okay, so there you have it. That is the 1080p as it stands. Now this is the part one, of course. I am going to be doing another look at this once the lens come in. Which lens did I get? I got the Cadex L6, I believe, off the top of my head, to check that. If that's correct, I won't put anything else in. So that's going to be coming, we're going to be trying that out, which is awesome. I am hoping that we're going to see a slightly smoother representation in the goggles of the 1080p. It's, yeah, if this is better than it was when Stacey was flying, two things. Firstly, Stacey, that's fucking impressive flying. And secondly, I don't know if I'll use it that much. You know, like, sure, it looks nice when you're cruising, but it's horrible descending as far as I feel. And if I get into a situation where I'm on proximity or I'm worried about interference, I'm probably going to want to use the 1080p, not sorry, the 1080p, the 720, or even, which as you saw, has slightly better penetration, or even the 540-60. From what I can tell, 540-90 seems to have better penetration than 720 at 60. So yeah, I don't know. I can't wait for the 540 at 60 to come out for the high penetration mode. When you've got a good aerial and you've got a nice, like, you know, amount of power coming out of the transmitter, then the system can perform really well in general. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how that comes out. What I will say is that I think it's awesome that this system has so many different modes. There are people who are going to want this for long range. There are people who are going to want this for cruising around. There are freestylers. Then there are racers, and the system is going to service all these people. So that's really cool, really good work. Please keep coming out with awesome features, and yeah. I imagine it was a tough choice to make, to go with changing the OS behind the application on the goggles. Hopefully that works out for the best and hasn't annoyed too many people. I've seen a couple of comments, but they weren't actually, like, some of the comments I've seen weren't so much about the firmware, but about getting the wrong cameras and whatnot. And I don't know if that's suppliers or if they've bought from the HDZero shop. If you have bought from the HDZero shop and something's gone wrong, hit them up. If you're not getting the results you want, you can always talk to the boss. I mean, I don't want to get everyone to harass the crap out of Carl so he just disappears and doesn't want to talk to anyone, but he's very involved. He cares about this, the experience you're having with the product. And he seems like he's really invested in the community. So yeah, like, I'm sure they're willing to help you out. If you have had problems there, talk to them and hopefully they can fix you up. If you've had problems with a third-party supplier, you've got to hit them up. When you buy from a third-party supplier, of course, you know, you're taking that risk with the third-party supplier and the support they will offer. Now that can be good or bad. I've had, you know, in the past I've had, and particularly with Diatone in the hobby industry, the latest interaction I had with them was very poor. If you want to know more about that, I'll get into that. But basically, they didn't review the problem and just told me to get stuffed, more or less. Told me it was my fault. The supplier, on the other hand, he looked into the problem and turns out it wasn't my fault. So there you go. If you want to know the details on that, we'll get into it in another video. But the point being that, that when you do have a customer service that, like HDZero, that actually responds and looks at the issue and tries to give you a useful answer, that's worth a lot more than a company like, well, at least the last service experience I had with Diatone, where they basically told me to get stuffed, and it was a $120 board. It was an F7 board, you know? So that's worth something, and it is worth considering. And I'm sorry that there are some people out there who've had a bad experience. Anyway, look, there's a long frickin' ramble about customer service and stuff. If you do want to see those other videos, comment down below. If you know, you're keen to see the part 2 of this with the proper lens for the camera, then yep, sweet. Let's comment down below. Let me know, and I will get onto that. I'm going to do it anyway, but just comment down below because YouTube loves that shit. Yeah, please do like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.